This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. What is up, my friends? It is Sunday night's late night agenda, and I think you'll all agree we have a lot to discuss. There was a twist in the title race today. We're going to discuss that. Of course, we'll be talking about the petition that's circling to get Arne Slot out of Liverpool Football Club. We'll be talking about Alisson Becker's future. We'll have a conversation around Bradley BARCOLA, as it looks like if he does move to the Prem, Liverpool is his preferred destination. We'll talk about Jarrod Bowen and the possibilities there. And we'll talk about lots more as well, including some links to a Monaco attacker, which I will bring to you in a little bit. But as always, folks, I hope you've had a good weekend so far. Appreciate you giving up some of your time on Sunday night to come and have a chat with me. And of course, we're proudly brought to you tonight with thanks to our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. Don't forget to check out their offer via the QR code in the bottom corner. Right, so where to start? I mean, there really is a lot to unpack today. Can I just start off with a little rant, if I may? That isn't Liverpool related, but I can't speak for everybody else. But this season has been made even more annoying by Gary Neville. I am fed up listening to him simp for Arsenal all season. Even today, he'd made up his mind on the decision, and because it was the same decision that Neville wanted, it was all good. I really am fed up of Gary Neville. I'm fed up of listening to him all season. I'm fed up of him being involved in the biggest games. It really does my head in. I would rather burn Anfield Agenda to the ground than sell it to Neville and his cohorts. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I would rather go out to my new office, put a match to it and burn it to the ground than give it to those soulless clowns for anything. I don't care if they could put a wheelbarrow of cash up to my house and I would still stick 2 fingers up at them and tell them where they can stick their takeover offers, because I'm done. The influence that man has on football is just too big and it needs to be fucking chopped down, because he's annoying as hell. You know, imagine a Manchester United former player and fan out there being a cheerleader for Arsenal all season. It's been nuts. It's been really embarrassing to watch. Right, so that's my little rant over for the evening. Now let's get stuck into the football talk. So look, we were finishing up last night. We had a conversation about the Fabrizio Romano situation. Romano said, to his understanding at that point, Liverpool had made contact with Alonso directly. But today, there's been a few shouts coming from Spain that there might not have been direct contact as of yet with Liverpool and Alonso, depending on whether you believe Romano's take or not. But Liverpool have been in contact over Alonso with Real Madrid, according to some reports today. So a couple of things. J. Felix Diaz said Liverpool have directly called Real Madrid to ask about Xabi Alonso. The English club wanted to know about Xabi's work at Madrid and what Madrid's opinion on him was, according to this report. Dario AS also say Liverpool have contacted Madrid to ask about Alonso and his time at the club. The Reds are said to have doubts over appointing the Spaniard next season, which is why the call was made. Now look, I've said this for a long time. I'm not trying to sit here and convince the world Alonso is the best guy without a doubt. There are doubts there. But what I feel comfortable in saying to you is, as long as it is an Arne Slot, we'll move forward as a club. Because right now, nobody has any faith left in the manager. Now, I was looking at some comments from Peter Crouch. And let me say, I love Peter Crouch. I absolutely love Crouchy. But as always, when former players talk about the situation, I think they're underplaying it a little bit. And this is what Crouchy had to say. Speaking to TNT Sport, he said this: there's an element of that Slot has lost to fans. There is a bit of slight unrest with the manager at the moment. Now, slight unrest, I think, is an understatement from Crouchy. And I get it. They have to be professional. I understand it. He's a former player. But slight unrest doesn't do justice to the appetite that there is there from Liverpool fans for change. And I'm not sitting here telling you that it has to be Alonso, but it could be Alonso, it could be Nagelsmann, it could be Hoeneß, it could be 4 or 5 others, it could be Andoni Iraola. But there is no appetite to back Arne. So I wish the former players would be a bit more honest about it, because it used to be it was just online. And then it went to, well, small sections of Anfield. And then the boos are getting louder and louder and louder. And the boos are getting to the players. And I think, and I hope the players understand that the boos aren't really aimed at them. The boos are aimed at the managerial situation. And yes, it's not great for the players. I understand that. I do get their frustration. But this is what it's come to. And it's only going to get worse. So the club have to step up now, listen, pay attention. Because they can't hide behind any of their favourite little phrases anymore. These guys, the data lads, they look like they've shit the bed massively this season. A lot of their decisions are coming under scrutiny. And fans just want a change. That's it. It's straightforward at this point. You might want this guy to stay, but you've not been able to convince the world that he's the right guy. You've not to be able to convince us that next season's going to be any different other than just telling us it will be. Like Arne did when he said, I can promise you 100% next season will be different once we get players in this summer. Come on, man. You had the whole of this season with 450 million quid's worth of new talent, and we've looked even further and further away. I'm going to post the petition back into the chat because a couple of people are asking about it. So it's in there now again if you look in the chat. So let me finish with what Crouchy had to say anyway. Sometimes I think it was so good on the Jurgen Klopp, you've got to park that. He was a one-off. The style of football was so exciting and so attacking, and it's very difficult to live up to that. Now, again, I understand where Crouchy's coming from, but I think he's doing Liverpool fans a bit of a disservice there, because it isn't just that he isn't Klopp. And I wish people would stop trying to pass that narrative, because Liverpool fans aren't liking the brand of football. It's nothing to do with the man as such. They just don't like what they're seeing. They don't like what we're viewing every single week. And it isn't because he isn't Klopp. It's because he is basically a robot. It looks like Slot's a robot. He has no passion. He has no intensity. He has no motivational skills. He has no way of endearing himself to a fan base. He is just cut adrift at the minute, and it needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped, because this season is hard enough without asking Liverpool fans to go into next season waiting for November or December when he's fired. He's anti-football. He's anti our way of playing football. And look, Crouchy is right to some extent. We were spoiled with Jurgen, but I think we all knew that. And I think we can all understand that he isn't Jurgen. And that's certainly not what I hold against him. I never expected him. I knew a little bit about Slot when he came in, and I didn't expect him to be a similar type of personality. But I did expect a brand of football, what we see on the pitch. I did expect that to be more exciting, to be more sympathetic to our values of the way that we like the game to be played. And what we've seen this season is just overcautiousness. We've seen a stifling of any of the creative players out there. And we've seen a manager who's almost just going to the bottom of his bag at this point, having tried everything, just trying to make something work. And it isn't. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, believe there's a large part of that's because of his man management skills and his lack of motivational skills. That's my take on it anyway. But look, let's get into the comments. How's he going to earn a new contract? Well, hopefully he's not, because I don't think he should be given time. Look, you might see on the outside, and I can understand how pundits maybe that don't watch Liverpool every week would have a view that he deserves more time. But if you're really paying attention to what we've seen this season and pushing aside all the emotional stuff, just looking at the football, it hasn't cut the mustard. It just hasn't. And it's been nowhere close to it. So again, FSG have a big decision to make, and you can see the change now of the narrative of the journalists, of the media. It is turning toward, even David Lynch, I was watching it yesterday, his match reaction on YouTube, and you could see it was hurting him. to say that it probably is time to look for the manager to be removed. But at least he was honest about it. And I'm grateful he got there. But it should have happened sooner to me. But look, at least people are getting there. That's all I'm happy with. As long as we get to the point where he's gone in the summer and we don't have to look at it for another season, I'll be far more calm and far more excited for the potential of the season ahead. Is Alonso signing for Liverpool yet? I don't know, and I'm not ever going to try and say to you, if Slot goes, it will absolutely be Alonso. I don't know that to be the case. He's understandably spoken about for the job, and I can understand why the club maybe wanted to go in a different direction initially, because they wanted to stick to the 4-3-3 and, we wouldn't have as much upheaval. But here's my pitch to Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes. Right now, according to you guys, we're in a transitional phase. There isn't the appetite to continue the transition with the manager that you have. So the pitch that I would like to say to them is, now we have a team and a squad that is probably closer suited to Alonso's 3 at the back or 4 at the back, but let's say 3 at the back. It's probably better suited to it, whether that's intentionally or accidentally. The likes of bringing in Wirtz, the likes of bringing in Frimpong. I think these are players that we know would flourish in his system. So I think right now we're closer towards being able to adapt to that system. We're obviously going to see some senior players leave the club this summer. Everybody knows that's going to happen. Mo's going, Robbo's going. We'll talk about Alisson tonight as well. We don't know what's going on with Virgil and his future. So if we're going to go through this anyway, let it be to build towards something that people at least want to go on that journey with the coach. And that appetite isn't there at the minute for Slot. And it isn't going to be there. And they've done everything this season. They've tried to deny reality. They've tried to pit fans against each other. They've tried to use their influence in the media to push a narrative that doesn't exist. They've tried to call people toxic. They've tried to call them negative. But what they haven't done is address what they're supposed to do. The numbers behind the season. The data that shows how bad it's been. This is why I'm so aggrieved by Hughes and Edwards. Because they're supposed to be the data guys. The removing of emotion. I live off emotion. All I have is emotion. But these guys have the numbers. And we've seen this season how we've gone through. The numbers are getting worse. We ranked 19th out of 20 for distance covered on the pitch. We've been outrun so many times. We've lost 18 games. We've conceded 18 goals from set pieces. We've been beaten by 3 goals or more 3 times in a row for the first time in 70 years. All of these happened this season. And these are things that, I was reading in The Echo. The Echo always do a bit of a roundup on what all the journalists write about with regard to the Liverpool games. And some of them are saying it's worse than Hodgson. And they ain't wrong. Because at least in the Hodgson days, you knew you were shit. We knew we didn't have the calibre of players. We knew we didn't have the funds to compete with the Manchester Uniteds and the Chelseas of this world. But we do now. The standards have to be raised and they have to be maintained. And Arne has done nothing this season to hold his hands up and say he deserves another chance. Nothing. Are we closer to sacking Slot? Honestly, I think yes. And I'm not just saying that because I want it to happen. It's clear I want him to go. But my gut feeling, based off what I'm seeing, based off the people that I interact with, is that yes. Yesterday seemingly is the straw that broke the camel's back. And that happened in front of Richard Hughes, who was inside the stadium. And it wasn't just a couple of boos. I finally got to listen to it back on Match of the Day last night because, of course, I have the games on silent when I'm watching them here doing the watch-alongs. So I watched it back last night and it's really clear. The Rio one, fair enough. If there was some miscommunication there over Rio having a muscle knock, that's fair enough. But the end of the game, again, it showed you how Liverpool fans feel. And if the ones that pay their money and go and are very, very supportive, if they've turned, you can't turn this back around. There's no winning it back around. Because nobody wants to see it happen again. And nobody believes Slot. Let's make that very clear. Nobody believes him. Because everything he said this season has been delusional. Not based off reality, not based off what we've seen, not based off the performances. Just based off him being unwilling to accept that it's fallen apart. And look, it's not personal. I've said this so many times. It's never personal with me. And it takes a lot It takes a lot to want to sack a Liverpool manager. I've never said it before, and I may never say it again, but that's how bad this has got. How does Rio suit Alonso's system? Seems a bad fit. So there will always be space in any manager's squad for pacey players. Yes, Rio may have to slightly tweak how he plays, but let's not pigeonhole Alonso into only playing with a back three. There were times, and I'm not so sure about Leverkusen, but I certainly paid a little bit more attention at Madrid. And there were times where Alonso did play with a back four. So he isn't a coach like Amorim that's only married to a system. He does have variations of the way he plays. But again, I want to reiterate, I'm not here to convince you that Xabi Alonso's the guy. That's not my job to do. I'll have an opinion on it like everybody else. And I would say that there are concerns around the situation with Alonso because, you know, there are things he's unproven in. There are things he's really good at. But what you want in these situations is the buy-in of the Liverpool fans. And Alonso will instantly get that. I can't speak to the others. I can't speak to Nagelsmann. I can't speak to anybody else. But right now, you will at least get that excitement in Liverpool fans. A feeling that, okay, one of our own is coming back in. That's how I see it. But look, each to their own. And I look forward to reading through your comments. Right, where are we at? I think I missed them. Let me get to... Shall we talk about Alisson for a little bit? I think Keane wants me to pin the poll, so bear with me one sec. Let me pin that one for you. Okay, so the poll is now pinned to the chat, so you should be able to see it there. So right, look, firstly, thank you all for being here. It's great to see you in tonight. I really appreciate your time. Want to get through and hear as many of your opinions as I can. Even if you are a differing opinion to me, it's all good. We just ask you to be polite to everybody and we'll all get along just fine. But thank you for being here. It really means a lot to me that you've come in here to have this chat with us. Right. Shall we talk about Alonso? No, we've done that. Sorry. Shall we talk about Alisson for a little minute? So Alex Crook earlier on said, breaking, Juventus are advancing in talks to sign Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson. Now, we told you guys a couple of weeks ago about the interest from Juve here. The situation with Alisson seems to be that he's happy to do whatever Liverpool want to do. Which, in one way, I understand, and in another way, is just playing it safe, right? The way I view these things, if you've no interest in something, you've no interest, and you just say no. But if you're curious, if you're interested in it, that tells you what you need to know. So for me, and I can only speak for me, I'm of the mindset that if a player doesn't want to be here, or has doubts about being here, maybe time to move on. But I want Alisson to stay. I would be in the camp that want him to stay, but I want him to stay if he wants to stay. Not out of a feeling of duty, or I want him to be here because he wants to be here. He's been the best goalkeeper in my lifetime in a Liverpool shirt. Probably the best goalkeeper I'll ever see in a Liverpool shirt. But with the brain drain we're having this summer, with the experience that's going out of that dressing room, I don't know, the idea of losing Alisson as well feels very, very tough. So this piece here from Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs, Juventus are in talks with Alisson over a move. However, the Brazilian will only leave if it suits all parties, with no pressure being applied on Liverpool. The Reds still have huge faith in Georgi Marmadashvili as the number one, with the Georgian expected to step up if Alisson departs. Now, there's been some talk from the people on TalkSport about this, and I wanted to just give you a couple of opinions that Ali McCoist and Jeff Stelling have given around the Alisson situation. So Ali McCoy said this about Alisson potentially leaving Liverpool. No is the answer to that. I don't think so, particularly in that area. He must be a key player in the whole squad. And then Jeff Stelling, he said, I think it's really important to hold on to Alisson. Look, they've lost significant big-name players last season and will do so again during the course of this summer. Surely they want to hold on to the man who is still deservedly the number one keeper. So I want to know, guys, what do you think should happen with Alisson this summer? Because I guess there's two ways for us to look at it. One, you get one more season out of Alisson and he departs on a free. And the other one, you bring in a fee and then you figure out the next backup goalkeeper. That's easier said than done, but there are nuances to this. If we keep Alisson, what if he ends up missing loads of games with injuries again? We can't be in a situation like we were this year where we had Freddie Woodman going in for a couple of games because obviously Georgie had the cut on his knee and Ali was out. So that injury shadow, I guess, looms over this situation. And it is a tough call. And it probably is something we'll all differ on. You know, you might think one way, I might think another. I would probably put it down to whether they think Georgie's really ready to be the guy. If they think Georgie really is ready to step up, then I think maybe bring in a few quid and sell him. But if you're not 100% convinced that Georgie's ready to go, then I think you have to keep hold of Alisson. That's my take on it. And I'm glad I'm not making the decision, but I don't see the lads on the training pitch. I don't see enough of Georgie to have a confident opinion one way or the other. I'm open to it, but I don't know is the honest answer for me. United fan, keep slot and never be a threat. Exactly that. Look, it's such a tough situation because you're talking about a manager here that's won us a league title, but that's caveated by how much of it was down to him. Because when you've seen he started to put his own stamp on it, it really has gone in the wrong direction. And he hasn't been able to rescue it. So, yeah, look, my colours are nailed to the mast on this one. I want him gone. Who would you replace Alisson with? Again, Zoshi, it's probably down to, are you bringing in another number one? Or are you bringing in somebody to be a backup to Georgie? And I don't think we know the answer to that question at the minute. So I don't know, dude, is the honest answer. I mean, I can tell you some links. We've been linked to the Juventus goalkeeper, Di Gregorio. We've been linked to Ergican Kakir. We've been linked to James Trafford. We've been linked to Emi Martinez. We've been linked to Petrovic. We've been linked to Verbruggen. But honestly, I wouldn't have a clue. I have no idea what way Liverpool's head would be about the goalkeeping department. I don't know. It is a tough one because this is Alisson who started to see a few more injuries. And that's why I said, for me, it does come down to if you think Georgie's ready to be the number one, then I think you have your answer. If he's not ready to be the number one, then I also think you probably have your answer. Bricktop said, definitely an injury concern, but I'm not ready for Ali to leave. Oh, I'm heartbroken about the possibility of the amount of senior players we're going to lose this summer. You know, outside of Szoboszlai, I don't know about the attitude of a lot of the, shall we call them, newer breed that have come through, or the mental strength of them. That's kind of up in the air a little bit, so it makes it very daunting when, you know, you're losing proven winners. Alisson, Robbo, Salah, you know, these are guys that have been through the good times with us. And we know what they're made of. We know their mentality. Been linked with Carriers too? No, we haven't. We haven't been linked with Carriers. Maybe some people seen him getting promoted and started going back fondly, but I've not seen a credible link anywhere that says Liverpool want to sign Carriers back. There'd be mutiny if that was the case. Anyone aware of any clause in Kelleher's contract to bring him back? There isn't one. I think there might be a sell-on, but I don't think that there's a buyback option in it that I'm aware of. And I've tried to find that out, but to the best of my understanding, there isn't one. L Scouser 8 said, such a strange feeling to dislike a manager who's part of the glory wall. His bust forever in the Hall of Fame. Unreal situation. Shame, but it can't be salvaged. I think that's a very fair assessment of it, mate. And I've said this in November, December. The longer they drag it out, the more toxic it's going to get. Because the frustration is building. You know, and I said this before, his legacy looks like it, you know, it's not going to be what it maybe could have been if they acted earlier. You know, it is a difficult one. You know, it really is, and it's not an enviable situation, and there are no winners in this. Right, we'll move on to BARCOLA in a second, by the way, because I do have news on BARCOLA that I wanted to get through as well. I just wanted to get in to read some more of your comments. Don't blame anybody wanting to leave because of Arna, said Itachi. But this is what annoys me. I don't want them backing the wrong horse here. I don't want them maybe allowing players to leave that, and the truth, like, that don't want to leave, if you get me, but only want to leave because of the manager. Now, it's impossible for us to know exactly who those players might be outside of Salah, who's, really not hidden the fact that Arna is a huge part of the reason he wants to depart a year earlier. And even that makes me angry. Because I was fully convinced Salah was seeing out his 2-year deal when he signed it. And then for that to change this year, I think we know why it changed. Now, look, you can say Salah hasn't had the season that maybe he would have hoped for. That's fair enough as well. But it's been a poor year all around. Pasky said, too much experience leaving too quickly. There's a huge recipe for disaster. The petition is pinned for those asking. I mean, I can post it in again for you, but it should be pinned up in the chat. Now, it isn't our petition. I want to make that really clear. We didn't start this petition. I was only made aware of this petition yesterday when it got to, I think, maybe 30, 40,000, something like that. This would be something that we wouldn't start. And I said it before, I've never signed any of these petitions for FSG out, even when I felt I wanted them out or anything like that. But this has to... I'm leaving no cards left unturned at this point. I want everything done that we can as fans to get our viewpoint across. Right, let's get in to talk about BARCOLA, if that's okay, because there's a few bits on BARCOLA today that I wanted to bring up. So let's start off with a post that Transfer Sector put up crediting Alexis Bernard that said Liverpool have been tracking Bradley BARCOLA for many months and now they're stepping up their efforts to sign him. The player's becoming increasingly tempted by the move. Liverpool are more determined than ever to complete a deal. PSG are open to discussion should the player indicate that he wants to leave. Now, it didn't stop there, as there were more stories throughout the day on BARCOLA. This one here, coming in from Le 10 Sport, again said BARCOLA is open and receptive to the idea of coming to Liverpool. They're said to be more insistent than ever to sign him from Paris Saint-Germain. And there's been a few other reports as well that say if he was to leave PSG, then Liverpool would be a club that he'd want to move to. I mean, we brought you the piece from the Space ITK account the other day that said him or his representatives are in a meeting with Arsenal and they gave a presentation and he wasn't won over by it and isn't convinced by Arsenal's brand of football. So let's wait and see what happens there. Another name we've been linked with today, and again, I can see you guys talking about it in the chat, is Magnus Akliouche. Now, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't watch much French football. This piece here said, Liverpool are interested in Magnus Akliouche and are more interested than Spurs, according to L'Equipe. They said to be undeterred by the potential cost of around £40 million. And they also say that Paris Saint-Germain are monitoring the France international, who the publication claims are almost certain to leave Monaco this summer. Now, I don't know anything about Akliouche, so over to you guys there for a bit of help, please. Right, where are we at? Craig, I heard that there's over 300,000 signatures for Slot to be sacked and hoping Xabi Alonso will be your manager next season. Oh, it's way over that, mate. Like, when I came on, just before I'll tell you exactly what it is now. It was like 486k when I was coming on. I have it open on my phone, so 1 second. 496,726 at this moment in time. So I dare say that will be hitting 500,000 before we finish this stream. Craig, does BARCOLA's finishing worry you? Absolutely. That is the only part of the idea of BARCOLA that worries me. Yeah, but it's hard to really talk about whether it worries me or not without knowing who the coach is. So a good coach, I think, can help finish BARCOLA. I think can help develop him, because he does have more developing. And he should do for a player that's 22. He shouldn't be the finished product. So, yes, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Hugo Ekitike, I think the club looked at his numbers and thought that he was sort of underperforming a bit there. And if they could brush up on his XG a little bit, then, he could explode. So, I think Bradley BARCOLA, would he be my number one? Honestly, go back and forth between him and Yan Diamonde. I think if I was to look at it through Liverpool's eyes, probably more likely to edge towards a BARCOLA, who they would view as having more experience at a higher level, so thus maybe being ready to step up to Liverpool. But you can't deny then the raw talent and the ability of Yan Diamonde either, and his two-footedness, and so there's a lot to like about both. Would love the La Liga cinematic camera work in the Premier League. Yeah, there's a lot of innovations that I've seen in La Liga over the years that I've thought have been quite cool. What have we got? Hey Craig, do you think PSG will start to listen with do you mean FSG? I think you mean FSG. Will start to listen with a petition. I really hope so. Slot needs to go. Hope you and the family are well. I've no idea. I really don't know, because I'm not seeing much media coverage of it. We'd probably have to get to 1 billion before the Echo would even acknowledge it. But I don't know, is the honest answer. But I think if you're getting up to, let's say, 1 million people over the next day or two, it's surely got to at least be acknowledged by the club, internally. Because, they've tried to close the shutters and keep out all the feeling of fans towards Slot. They've kind of been living in denial in that regard from my side of it. And what really pisses me off is that the two people who are making all of these decisions that are going to have a knock-on impact for our football club are people who don't see their own futures here. And that doesn't sit well with me. It's all very well and good wanting to stick to your guns and back Arna, but you're not going to be around for the fallout. Us Liverpool fans will. We're going to have to be living through the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So if you don't want to be part of the process moving forward, I don't want you making these decisions now. So I'd like to think that FSG are going to step up and FSG are going to really look at this. Because if what Fabrizio Romano has always said comes to pass, that the club look at it at the end of the season and they do an analysis, I don't see how the analysis comes up with anything other than he's failed. And look, the players don't get a pass. There have been underperforming players hugely. But the common denominator in these things is the coach. 380k, the 496k petition from Anfield Agenda. Honestly, normally I would say to you, Nedge, that I think, people of a similar mindset do come into our community. Probably, yes. People that, think similarly to me at times. Fair enough. But on this one, I don't think this is a subsection thing. I would say if you polled the entire fan base, which of course is impossible, I'd say you're getting somewhere above 80%. Like genuine 80% that want him gone. Because, if I spoke to 1,000 people a week, I'd say maybe 10 of them might want to give him more time. And even at that, they're not convinced by him. They just think he deserves more time. And I don't think he does deserve that time because he hasn't shown that he's even nearly figured it out yet. Stevie Boy, how are we, sir? Said, shouldn't the Liverpool supporters ask for both Hughes and Edwards to be sacked along with Slot? I feel Slot has taken the most heat while Hughes and Edwards have sit in the background. Stevie Boy, I'm with you. And there's a reason I call them cowards. I know the word coward is a very powerful word, and I don't use it lightly as much as I use it often, but I use it because I mean it. And you're right, they've sent Arna out to be a lamb to the slaughter too many times. Well, they just sit there not having to be answerable or justify anything. Yes, they have to answer to FSG, but ultimately fans want to know what the fuck is going on. And that round table nonsense was exactly what I would have expected from them. People who do just hide away in the shadows. People who do think that they're better and above the rest of us. And it's ridiculous at this point. So I agree. Heads need to roll. And again, I'd rather rip up the project now and start than try to go through another 6 months of it and then have to rip it up. Because even if Arne stays, we're still going to be on the hunt for a new sporting director. That's going to happen contractually. Edwards is going to depart the club or head for pastures new. So really, the future of the football club's concerning on many levels, not just the coach. And it kills me seeing Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch, and these players feeling hurt by the boos. Kills me as a Liverpool fan to see that. Because I know, as a fan, the boos aren't really aimed at them. The people in the stands booing, I think, aren't aiming it really at the players. There's obviously frustration that we haven't seen enough fight from them. But ultimately, we know the root cause of it. And it kills me that, again, it has to get to this point. Because at any other club now, he's gone. Any other serious club that wants to win trophies, he's gone. He wouldn't have got this far. Omar, how are we, sir? Said, hey Craig, every time Arne speaks about the summer and next season, it feels like a threat. I don't think he stays, but it worries me how he speaks. So I read out a comment, Omar, from Arne. Yeah, let me just see if I still have it, sir, in my notes, and I'll get it for you. 1 sec. Yeah, so I do have it here. So asked if he felt he could still win back the dissenting fans, he said this, Omar. Yes, I do. Not this season, by the way. This season, they will have their opinion and it will not change. But if we can have the summer we're planning to have, I'm 100% convinced we will be a different team next season than we are now. Different in terms of results, different in how things look. It's not always that simple because sometimes you know what you have to do, but it's not always possible to get exactly what you want. For us, for me, it's really clear what we're lacking this season and we're trying. Now, here's what I don't get. He can come out and say that, Omar, no problem. But he doesn't back it up with anything, does he? He doesn't tell us why or how. It's basically his version of, trust me, bro. That's what it is. Because this is a football club that's supposed to be led by the numbers and the data. And nobody's been able to show any data that justifies keeping them. Because there is none. It doesn't exist. The data shows that we've been a laughingstock this season. That our tactics have been all over the shop. That he's been outcoached, outwitted by coach after coach. That he's been unable to motivate the players. So, if the problems are so obvious, then why weren't they fixed? He said it's obvious. He said his exact words, it's really clear what we're lacking this season. Then why didn't you do that in January? If it's really clear and this club's serious, why didn't you do that about it in January? Why did you sit there and watch Mark Gay going to Man City? Why did you sit there and watch Semenyo going to Man City? Why did you sign a player for next season that can't help you now? If it's really clear, then surely the solutions should start to be shown. And we should see the improvement. But it isn't really clear because he's a fucking spoofer. And he's making this shit up as he goes along. The same reason he goes into press conferences and talks about XG and talks about the amount of chances we've missed. Talks about being a possession-based team. Well, Chelsea had more of the ball than us at our pitch again yesterday. You set up like a cook to go over to be bitch slapped by PSG. You went over there looking to not get a beating. Not to win the game. And he's done that again and again. So there is no defence of him anymore. The numbers are clear. The sentiment is clear. The football is clear. The fans are clear. And all of it points towards this man not even ingratiating himself. That's the thing that I really don't get. There's some real easy wins in there for Arne that he's not taken. You know, he's always felt cold and distant from the fan base and from the city. It could be just him. That could be his way of doing things. That's fine. Each to their own. Like I said, this isn't personal, but he just doesn't, he seems too aloof for me to get behind. And for all the agendas that I've been accused of having over the years on here, this is one I'll hold my hands up to. I have a fucking agenda at this point, yes, because my sanity and my desire to keep this football club at the top and my desire to enjoy watching Liverpool play out trumps anything else at this point. He has to go. I'm Arna in. He was unlucky this season. Trust me. Stop it now. Stop it now. How is a petition and losing the fans not enough? Alec, I don't know, dude. This is the really frustrating part. Because we don't even get to hear from the lads that are briefing. Like Tony Barrett and all the lads are just briefing all their friendly journalists. They tried it all season. I could tell you things that I legally can't tell you that they've done to people, that they've leaned on people. I know so many things that if I said them on here on camera, I'd be probably in front of a court or a solicitor at some point, or a judge at some point, excuse me. So I got to be careful what I say. But the club have gone out of their way this season to gaslight their own fan base. Let that sit for a minute. They've gone out of their way to dig their heels in, to pit fans against each other, to deny reality, to brief their friends in the media, to push a narrative because they want to save face and keep their guy. They've ignored the reality. They've ignored fan sentiment. And they've pit us against each other. And they've made us feel angry towards our own fucking club. And they're supposed to be having the best interests of the club at heart. Make no mistake. These are self-serving fucks. They don't care. They don't care. You've seen journalists come up this season and talk about the passive-aggressive messaging. Talk about being asked why they're writing negative articles. All of these things are done on purpose. It's not very, you'll never walk alone, is it? It's not very fair if you're not letting people have a valid opinion and you're trying to paint anybody that does have a dissenting voice as being toxic, as being negative. Do you ever think that maybe they're just right? You know, I like to think that I'm an early adopter of being right and the rest of these fuckers just take time to catch up. Because I know what I'm looking at, you know what you're looking at, and we can't be fooled as fans. You can't tell the whole world that Liverpool fans are some of the most knowledgeable fans in the world, and then when they all have an opinion, ignore it. Do you know what I mean? You can't say that Liverpool fans don't turn on a manager unless it's really bad, and then when it happens, just go, well, it's only a few. Fuck you. Fuck you. This whole season, they have made us feel things against our own club. They're a disgrace. A fucking disgrace. And you know I'm right. Have you felt gaslit this season as a Liverpool fan? Let me ask that one in the poll. Let me ask this one as a poll. So, have you been gaslit this season by the club and the media? Let's have a look at this and we'll see how people vote in a while. Joe. How are we, Joe? Joe said, I feel Slot's had his time, but a petition still feels wrong to me. Be very hypocritical of me personally for how I see the Mbappe petition. I get it, Joe, and I'm no judgment from me, mate. None whatsoever. I've ignored every petition that I've seen around Liverpool for years. Whether it's, you know, the raising money for the FSG out banners, even at the height of my dislike of FSG, I've never taken part in any of them. But I feel lost as a fan at the minute, Joe. And I feel like we're not being listened to. And I feel like we're being undermined. And I feel like every avenue that isn't abuse should be on the table now for fans. And I've gone out of my way to say it over and over again. Nobody wants to see any abuse. Nobody wants any threats. Nobody wants anything like that. But we have to be able to have a voice. We have to be able to have an adult conversation and not just be shout down. So for me, Joe, this is a last resort. It isn't our poll. It isn't our petition. And I totally understand where you're coming from. If it isn't for you, dude, honestly, I get it. No probs. I just feel so... I feel we've been so limited in what we can do and how we can express ourselves. Fair play to your reaction in my super chat. Yeah, I knew it was just a bit of fun, dude. You know, I know your personality a little bit at this point, Itachi, my friend. The Night Script said, I still can't explain why Jurgen decided to leave a couple of months after signing a new deal. Maybe he saw something coming and Arne is taking all of it. Look, I think we'll all have our own views on why we think Jurgen left. I'll give you mine if you want it. So I do think the fatigue was real. You know, I think you could see it in Jurgen. But it feels like it was a fatigue that, yes, did come with the rigours of managing a football club like Liverpool and the energy that's required to lead in the way that he does. So I've no doubts that that was legit. But I can't help but feel that there was some infighting in and around it. Don't know whether that was with the idea of Edwards. Don't know whether that was with the owners. Don't know. But it does feel weird. And again, I've asked myself the same questions this year of Salah, of Robbo, of Alisson. I've asked myself, why are some of these guys suddenly wanting to go or even entertaining to go? Jones is a great example. Why is Curtis Jones, who wanted to captain the club, all of a sudden, when he's probably getting played more under Slot than he did in his previous time at Liverpool, why all of a sudden now is Jones interested in Inter Milan or Spurs or a move away? You know, we don't know the answers as fans. And when we don't get any information from the club, ironically, the thing they don't want to happen explodes. They don't want the dots being joined by the rest of us. But when you have to fill in these blanks, you know, what can you do? Yeah, that's where I'm at with it all. You know, this has been the hardest season of my content creation because I've seen thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people hurting all the time. And it sucks. It saps the life out of you and your enjoyment of it. Like, again, I would reiterate this to everybody. This is supposed to be our escape as fans. You know, football is supposed to be the thing that we vicariously live through these super athletes. We go on this journey with them. The tribalistic aspect is what brings us together on it. And they're using that tribalism against us. And I hate it. And I hate feeling this way. And I hate having to come on and talk about firing a manager. I hate all of it. But we have to be heard. Biggie Mall said numbers are up on the stream tonight. Yeah, look, I said it a moment ago and I'd like to say it again. I appreciate people coming in. I don't know why the numbers are up tonight. I don't know. But I appreciate people coming in. And I hope that they see a side of our community tonight, if they're in here for the first time, that you get a better understanding of what we're actually about. I've always said to you guys, I can understand somebody seeing a clip of me and thinking they have my number or thinking they know all about me. I've made that mistake as well. But I amn't just a ranting lunatic. I am a die-hard fan that loves this football club. This football club has gotten me through some of the toughest times in my life where I didn't have much else going for me and I didn't have much else to cling on to and I was at my loneliest. I always had this football club. And I always had a sense of anything is possible. I seen Istanbul, I seen the Barcelona comebacks. These things inspired me in life. So to see our fan base having to boo inside our own stadium because of what we're seeing, that hurts. It hurts because I know how much it hurts every single one of those people doing it. I know how much it hurts every single one of you. And I know that when these things are being so obviously suppressed, that we have a problem. And I've said this for years. When I say our football club and football have a problem with people speaking up, people think I'm just being bitter. People think I just want more access. I couldn't give a fuck. I'm right. They don't want dissenting voices. Press conferences are a waste of time. Nobody's able to ask proper questions for fear of being blacklisted, for fear of being pushed out, Football has a problem with transparency, and football has a problem with the media around it not being able to delve deep enough and ask proper questions. When's the last time you heard a press conference question that you were actually interested in, or that you got some information out of? It's all just copy and paste bullshit, because they sit there and they say what you're allowed to ask and not allowed to ask. Why would you do that? Why are you afraid of a bit of transparency? Why are you afraid of being asked difficult questions? You're paid enough. Hey Craig, do you not think we should have an elected supporter on the board when the non-football people need to see sense? There is. There is. The problem is, though, when we talk about the people who are put into these positions, they only look after the interests of a subset of fans. Said that for years as well. You know, all the ticketing prices, you know, the protests have stopped, but the general ticket prices are still going up. It's only the season ticket holders increases that have been frozen outside of a 3% one for this year. But the general admission tickets, they're still going up. The hospitality seats that people are forced to pay, they're still going to rise. Where's the backlash over that? Where's the actually looking out for football fans? Because all of these things look out for one section of fans only. Them and their fucking mates. People don't say it because they're afraid to say it. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say it because it's right. There are far more fans around the world that aren't in their little cliques. And nobody gives a fuck about them. And we're included in that. So if you want to protest it all, why aren't you protesting the fact that those ticket prices are still going up for general admission tickets? But that's cool though, because it doesn't impact you and your mates. So it's all good then, isn't it? Hypocrites, the fucking lot of them. So yes, there isn't really supporters' views on it, because who's representing the international fans? Who's representing the non-local fans? And this shouldn't be about an us and them situation, by the way, because I actually have every sympathy with them over the increases in ticketing. But they only ever fight the corner of them and their mates. They don't give a shit about football outside of Liverpool. They don't give a shit about the rest of us around the world. They just don't. And they do it and show it all the time. Itachi said, number 14, his name is Xabi Alonso. Yep, I've got a framed Xabi Alonso shirt ready to go on the wall. It's going up in the office one way or the other, but... And look, I don't like to say that, because I want local fans to be in the stadium. I want the next generation to come through. I want it to be affordable and accessible to them. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I love that city. I love the people. But they don't look out for everyone. And I'm fed up as a fan, and I'm sure you are as well, of feeling like a second-class citizen. Or feeling like they only want their money, but we have to be kept at a distance. Without the money from you, without the money from me, without the money from everybody, the football club can't operate the way it does. And that's, unfortunately, something that gets unspoken about all the time. Even when it comes down to having an opinion about the manager, it only counts when it's the ones inside the stadium. Then people start to listen a bit. But the rest of us around the world, we're all tarred with the same brush. We're just toxic online social media fans. Doesn't matter that my one game this season cost me more than a season ticket. Doesn't matter. FSG want the yes man and slots it. Just like Ineos at United, Carrick's it. The problem is beyond coaches, the sporting directors. I think Klopp saw that. And that's what really winds me up, mate. Because the sporting director in this sense, and Michael Edwards, won't be here. So they're making these big decisions. And do I really believe that they have our best interests at heart? I don't know. How could I? Don't hear from them, don't know anything about them. But I do know that apparently they don't want to be here. So, I love you, Craig, on this community. You and Connor are doing a great job. Thank you so much, Colette. Really appreciate that. And happy 7-month anniversary with us as well, Colette. Right, over to you guys. Let's read some more comments. I've got more news, by the way, but let's keep going because this is your show. Jason said, why aren't we saying Edwards out? He killed Klopp. Klopp was in the yes man like slot. He's the reason Robbo got new deal and why Mo's leaving. go back and look, he pulls the strings. Jason, you're right. Mate, you are right about that. Like, even to the appointment of Hughes, it's because he's Edwards' mate. And look, I think if we're to have the conversation about Michael Edwards, it needs to be a balanced conversation as well, because he hasn't done all bad. Let's be honest about that. Michael Edwards has done some really good stuff for our football club, but there's always been at least a hypothesis that he doesn't view players over 30 as being as big an influence or as big a need as maybe Jurgen or coaches would, or some people. It always felt like he wanted young, hungry players. And that's okay. I do understand that, especially if you're looking to play a system that does take a lot out of you. The churn of players and the eras and I guess the cycles of them, I get it. But you can't just rinse a club of all its experience as well. So it does feel like when they talk about transition, my question is always, why did you do nothing in year one? They talk about wanting to give Slot time. Well, you all sat back in year one and did nothing. And we won the league. Then you come in and now you're talking about too much too soon. Well, you made that decision. You decided that it all needed to be done in one window. You could have staggered that. Could have done some of it the first year Slot came in. Could have done some of it in the January. Could have done some of it in the summer. Could have done some of it last January. So, I don't know. Scousers should always be put first before you locals. See, do I need to point out that sentence doesn't even make sense? Scousers should be put before you locals. That's well done, mate. That's genius. You're clearly on the way to the top with that type of in-depth analysis there, mate. Maybe have a little thinky think about the sentence and go again. You'll get it right second time. It hurts more when you're about to see Arsenal or City take the title away from us. Yes. And look, I mean, that game today, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say anymore. Arsenal do that 500 times throughout the season, no problem. Gets done to them once, all of a sudden, bang. Goal ruled out. Now, let me read something out to you, because I've had a bee in my bonnet about slow motion replays for a long time. And what you've seen today is Bowen and loads of other people talk about the fact that they had to look at that 20 times in slow motion, but they're not supposed to. And that has never been highlighted enough. I'm going to read you out this from the lawmakers of football about the use of slow motion replays. Hear me out. The VAR can check the footage in normal speed and or in slow motion, but in general, slow motion replays should only be used for facts, e.g. the position of an offence, the player's point of contact for physical offences and handball. None of that was necessary with those replays today. They do it in slow motion because they want to make the referee's fucking mind up. Make no mistake. Slow motion isn't allowed to be used in legal cases for a reason, because it can distort reality and it can make things look far more intentional. It goes on to say, the point of contact for physical offences and handball, or the ball out of play including goal, no goal, normal speed should be used for the intensity of an offence or to decide if it was a handball offence. That's the lawmakers. But of course, the PGMOL, well, they can do what the fuck they want. And all the journalists that profess to love the game, well, they'll all fall over themselves. Because Gary Neville was trying to basically tell us what the decision was when he was watching today. Because he had a big raging Arteta hard-on that he needed to get softened. So Neville was like, yeah, the right decision. Yeah, fuck you, Neville. If that's the right decision, why isn't there about 18 penalties every week? Why wasn't goals ruled out left, right and centre when Gabriel's shoulders were going into keepers across the face of them? It's an absolute shit show. And you're being conned. Football public is being rinsed again. Because they use slow motion replays despite the fact they're not supposed to. Slow motion replays are only supposed to be used to decide if a foul was in or outside a penalty area. If a ball was over the line or not. Not for the intensity or the timings of tackles. It's bullshit. But again, are all the people that profess to care about the game highlighting this? Do you have Sky Sports and TNT doing pieces about it? Is it brought up on Ref Watch? Of course it isn't. Because the whole lot of these fucking shows are only there to anger football fans. That's it. Why the fuck do I need to see Mike Dean talking to me about the rules when he doesn't follow them? Won't send his mate over to the monitor because he doesn't want him getting grief, despite the fact that somebody's hair was being pulled. And what do Sky do? The fucking bastions of morality that are Sky. Give him a job. Give him a job as the refereeing pundit. You couldn't make this shit up. And then they give us Ref Watch. Why exactly do we have Ref Watch? So we can see what way Dermot Gallagher's going to agree with the referees every week? It's there to wind you up. It's there to make you feel even more aggrieved at the end of the weekend with decisions that you're probably already getting over by Monday morning. That's it. That's why it's there. Fans don't want VAR anymore. The polls have been done, the research is there, but they won't get it out because it's given them extra content. Blue Blaze said, sent the super chat and it didn't come through, but it charged me. You're going to have to contact YouTube on that one, mate. You know, we don't have access. I'll have a look for it, see if I can see it, but we don't have access to or the ability to do anything around things like that, unfortunately. And it really grinds me gears a bit because I'd love to be able to help you out on it. But unfortunately, my man, I can't do anything other than direct it towards YouTube and Google. I'm just checking it out here. It didn't come through on my side anyway, my man. If you want to put the comment in, I will happily read it out for you, sir. I hate the idea of you wasting your money. There's a few I need to go back through, though. 1 second. Okay, I've done that one from Claire. Okay, this was it. Omar said, Craig, I speak for all of us when I say you've been our escape. I can't stress enough how much we appreciate everything you do. Much love. You've no need, Omar, honestly, mate, you've no need to appreciate me at all. It's an absolute pleasure to do this. I take this role extremely seriously and I'm humbled to be able to talk to you guys every night. I've only promised one thing when this channel started. In fact, no, I'm lying to you, mate. I promised two things. Honesty and no paywall. They're the two things that me and Connor feel really strongly about, that fan content should be free for everybody. We don't judge people. Everyone has to make a living. I'm not here to judge. But we work really hard to try and make sure that we can continue to deliver this for free so everybody can have access to at least having an opinion in the chat. And it's just a pleasure, man. You know, you guys gave me this platform. And I'm going to work every day to try and make sure that when you say you're subscribed to Anfield Agenda, that you feel that's something that you are proud of. Because it's your community. We're here for you. So thank you, Omar. I appreciate you. It hurts more than your bet to Arsenal City takes the title away from us at VI Jokers. Arna out and Jabby in. Life can be so simple. So, look, I suppose we should ask, let me just end this poll. So we asked, have you been gaslit by the club and the media this season? 85% say yes, 15% say no. Honest Watch reviews, thank you, mate. But I mean it. I mean it. You know, I've no ego. I am an imposter as far as I'm concerned. This, to me, I can't believe how fortunate I am. And every day I go to bed, every day I wake up, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about the community. I'm thinking about how we can make it more interactive. I'm thinking about how we can try to represent your feelings fairly. I mean it, you know. I honestly, and I don't say this lightly, I honestly feel this channel saved my life. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm a simple dude with simple passions and simple desires. I want to buy a family home. We're trying to do that. We'll probably get to do that in the next few months. But apart from that, I'm a simple dude. I don't have extravagant means. I don't want to be famous. I've no interest. I'm a quiet guy who sits at home, stays with his family, and just enjoys getting to do this. And as long as I get to do this, I'll be eternally grateful. Yeah, I mean it. You guys, I think this channel saved my life. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't mean it lightly. I honestly do. I don't know how I'd have gotten through COVID and that whole era without the connection to you. So let me just tell you the story about how I got here from a content-only perspective. I initially started my journey, if you want to call it that, by opening a Twitter account, I don't know, let's say 11 years ago or so. And I opened a Twitter account for one reason only. I wasn't going outside, I wasn't socialising, and I was lonely. I had my family here, but I had nobody to talk football with. So I opened up a Twitter account, not even in my own name. The name was Cop Jaffer. So I opened up that, and I started tweeting. Then I kind of crossed over a little bit with Anfield Index and ended up writing some articles for Anfield Index back in the day. And my grammar's terrible and I wouldn't call myself a writer by any stretch. But those pieces got a little bit of a following and they certainly weren't laughed at. And that gave me a bit more courage. And then Anfield Index had a podcast. I don't know if they still do it, but they had a podcast called The Writers Podcast, where people who wrote articles went on once a week and discussed pieces. So I was asked one week to go on to that. And God bless Nina Kauser. I was vomiting in my bathroom upstairs before my first podcast out of nerves. And Nina helped me through it. So then I was doing the podcast with Anfield Index. And I enjoyed it. But I found everybody was agreeing with each other a lot. And I'm a bit of a contrarian. So sometimes I like a bit of a debate. So I said to another guy, Nish, LFC coach, I don't know if he's still around. He taught me how to edit a podcast and how to record a podcast. So we did it, gave it a go. And then Connor said one day when Connor came on board, because we needed podcast artwork. And on Twitter, I asked for a graphic designer. And anyway, I met Connor and Connor said, we should try YouTube. And I said, mate, I'm 35. I don't really watch YouTube. I certainly don't know what to do. So we started and we just turned the camera on and streamed. That was it. We didn't really have much knowledge. I certainly hadn't got a fucking clue. And there used to be 3.5, 4 hour streams. And we used to do them. We used to go on till about 1 a.m. And over time, we started doing games and a bit more and a bit more. And now we're here. And the whole thing feels mad. But I'm very grateful for it. And that's why I wanted to say this to you. Like this is a vocation to me. This is a dream. So thank you for letting me have that dream. Have felt that way about the Anfield crowd for years now. Incredibly refreshing to hear honesty online that everybody is too afraid to point out. I know what it takes. You guys know what it takes for yeah, sorry, just seen somebody in the chat saying, oh my God, stop crying and start supporting the team. Yeah, okay. How about I'll do this and you can carry on doing what you're doing, David. You can support enough for both of us. Is that okay? Because what is supporting, mate? Is supporting being a blind sheep that just agrees with everything? Because that's not how I live. And that's not how I teach my kids to live. Everything should be questioned. The best should be wanted for the football club. So if you want to sit there and be a happy clapper and stand there supporting PSV Eindhoven whooping us 4-1, you do you, bro. But don't dare think you get to tell the rest of us what to do because you want to be a contrarian little dickhead. Sorry. So yeah, as I was saying, I know and you know what it takes for Anfield to get to that point. You know, it takes a lot. And I think the fact that Richard Hughes was there yesterday, I think that might finally start to sink in. That it isn't just a few. It isn't a fleeting thing. It can't be won back around. Imagine 8 and 14 standing on the sidelines. I get chills. Oh, dude. I think about that so much. Yeah, can you imagine that? Can you imagine those two standing there talking to each other? Or even in a dressing room. Imagine Steven Gerrard and Xabi Alonso standing there talking to you before the game. I mean, yeah, that definitely hits right in the fields. Have we still got this one? No, it's not there. So Adam, the young MMA fighter that won the European Championships yesterday, that you guys sponsor, that you guys were able to fund the trip over for him, he's going to drop in and show me the belt soon as well. And the good news is we think Adam's going to have a world title fight coming up as well, which of course we'll let you guys know about. Malty, how are we, my man? Said, walking out of Anfield, I felt absolutely sick. Yep, I've spoken firsthand to at least 10 people that were at the game yesterday, and all of them have some variation of the same things. They're just sick to their stomach because it goes against everything that they want to do, but it's how they feel. And there is no winning, like I've said, there's no winners in this. It's just a sad situation that unfortunately we're in. We've got to try and find a way out of it. And denying reality, I just don't think is going to help. Triton said, Craig, GCSEs tomorrow, better than us in 2026. Well, best of luck, my friend. I hope they go well for you. Let us know how you get on, but wish you the very best. And I'm no doubt you've got a bright future ahead of you. Josh was saying to you, bro, much love and much luck tomorrow. I hope the exams go well for you, sir. Yeah, I've got one child, a daughter, who's gone through all secondary school and finishing out into the working world, and I have another son who's just finishing up his first year in secondary school, and we've got those exams, ahead of us over here as well. So I'll say to you what I say to my own kids: do your best. That's it. Education's important, but it won't define you as a person. Some of the greatest people I know, dropped out of school early because they knew what they wanted to do. So do your best, but don't think it defines you. Some people are book smart, some people are street smart, some people are both. But try your best, and as long as you can look yourself in the mirror, Joshua, that's it. And I'm sure your parents will be equally as proud of you either way. Go do Anfield said, Craig, I feel the same way as you do, Broccoli, about Slot. Thanks for being here as a voice and letting us vent. Look, I'm not going to lie, it's been tough at times this season. I don't want to say that actually. There's been a few nights where I've sobbed after the streams because it just fucking kills me that people feel so sad about the situation, or so helpless. And that's not what you want to see. It's tough. So look, let's twist it up a little bit. Let me do a poll on the managers, because I really want to see where Liverpool fans are at with regard of who they'd want as the next coach. So give me, okay, obviously we have Alonso. So Alonso. Somebody, how do we spell Areola? Somebody help me spell Areola, lads. How the fuck do you spell his name? Somebody throw the name Areola into the chat there for me, will you, so I can spell it. Weirdly, I have a better chance of spelling Nagelsmann in my head than it. Right, so one more option. Could be Areola. There we go. No, that's Areola. A-I-R-A-O-A. Cool. Thank you. One more. Give me a fourth option, lads, that you'd like to see. We can't go Hansi Flick because he's obviously got a job. This is not possible. Maresca's gone to Man City, Petter. That's not possible. Honus is probably the other one then. Okay. So there's four options. Pick one of those. I didn't even put in a question because I think you know what the question is. Just if you had to pick one of those to come in to be the next Liverpool coach, who would you be going with? Right. Let's get going. Let's keep talking. Right, what else have we got in the news? Right, this one here. So Ben's, friend of the channel, Ben's Bocek, shout out to Ben's and Anfield Watch. Ben's has been talking about a goalkeeper that he thinks is the best young goalkeeper in France. And he said Robin Risser is the best young goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. No under-21 goalkeeper has prevented more goals than him. He's the best save percentage in league. He's so quick off his line, great reaction, commands his box, decent on the ball as well. Says really impressed by him. I think his ceiling is very high. Did I genuinely see somebody write the name Liam Senior in the chat? Yeah, no. No. We've had enough of managers with corny phrases. Thanks. I don't need Senior. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but he doesn't have the gravitas to be Liverpool head coach. Sebastian Hoeneß is the Stuttgart coach, Norman, who is very Klopp-esque in the brand of football that he plays, and somebody who's spoken about as one of the next great things in coaches. But again, not the finished article by any stretch. Luis Enrique is signing a new deal with PSG. It's agreed. It'll be signed at the end of the season. He's signing a 4-year deal. So that's what... Look, Luis Enrique is the dream. Luis Enrique would be the best fit, without a doubt. But, you know, I think he is going to sign a 4-year deal. It's been pretty much widely reported that it's agreed already. But they don't want any distractions before the Champions League final. So, yeah, I think we can forget about that one, unfortunately, because, God, I'd love him. I'd rather have Harry Wilson on the free than spending on Bowen. I wouldn't, but I appreciate where you're coming from, Tobias. I think Harry Wilson's going to Villa, what I can see. A report I was reading a while back said he's agreed $100,000 a week deal to go to Aston Villa. So I don't think it's on the cards for us. But I don't understand anybody who has any doubts about us signing Bowen if he goes down. To me, Jared Bowen is the perfect solution to the problem that we have. Somebody who can score goals, somebody who puts in 100% every game, somebody who won't long-term block the pathway of any of the younger wingers that we signed. I'd love Bowen. I think if you got in Jared Bowen and brought in a BARCOLA or a Yan Diamonde, it would be incredible. You know, BARCOLA covering on the right, or excuse me, Bowen covering on the right or central if needs be. If Isak isn't up to it yet, or if Isak needs a rest or to be rotated, I'd love Bowen. Honestly, I'd love him. For me, if we got Jared Bowen and one of BARCOLA or Yan Diamonde, I'd be over the fucking moon. And I've been a Bowen fan since Kloppo was here. Like, I've been saying for years, Jared Bowen at Liverpool would be incredible. But I think the only way he might leave is obviously if West Ham get relegated. And of course, if I have to have a little chat with Danny Dyer to try and help Danny get over the idea of it, Danny, it will be my pleasure, sir. Any excuse to have a chat with Danny Dyer as well, because I love Danny Dyer. And I'm talking about the father. The daughter's a lovely person as well, but I'm a big fan of Danny Dyer. Be greedy, get Bowen, Diamonde and BARCOLA. Oh, don't do that to me, Dylan. I don't think you'd be able to convince them to get both of them in. As well as Bowen, because where are you going to play them all? But somebody did say, and again, I'm being a bit of a shithouse here, but somebody did say, imagine you got BARCOLA and Diamonde, and then when Gakpo, or when Hugo got fit, you sell Gakpo. I mean, wouldn't we go into that? Elodge. Or Eldodge even. Sorry, Eldodge said, I'll try and get Lewandowski on a 1-year deal. Hugo won't be fit for the start next season, and we know Isak is injury prone. So I kind of jokingly said that maybe a week or two ago. And I jokingly said it, but I wouldn't be against it. You know, on a 1-year deal. Could be worse. You know, he's going to be leaving Barcelona. You know, would he fancy a year in the Prem before he goes to the MLS or wherever he heads off to? I wouldn't say no. Bring in Elise. Oh, Itachi, would you? Whew. Yeah. Elise, look, I've always said to you, Elise is the dream Salah replacement, but I'm trying to be realistic. Like, if I'm Michael Elise right now with that Bayern team, why would you want to leave at this minute in time? You're playing great football, you're loved, you're competing. I don't see a realistic way to get him out. Would you sign Mbappe if Real decide to sell him? No, because it's not because of the footballing quality. I mean, of course, Kylian Mbappe is an incredible player, but there's just drama, and we don't need more drama. And where Kylian Mbappe goes, drama tends to follow. So no for me. And also, I don't think he'd fit in with the way we want to play, because he doesn't work back, he doesn't defend. So no for me on Mbappe, which sounds mad. Like, internally, I'm even saying to myself, excuse me, what? No. But honestly, no. Benny said, Craig, I hope you and your family are well. I'd welcome Bowen to Liverpool with open arms. I think he's wasted most of his career at West Ham. Look, I almost love the fact that he's been that loyal to West Ham, because I like West Ham as a club. And, West Ham love their legends, and Bowen is going to be a legend there. But if they go down, with the age he's at, he's heading for 30, I think, he probably deserves some Champions League football in his career. And Owen is almost like the underdog I'd love to support. Bowen, almost like the underdog I'd love to support, because I think he would flourish. And I think Anfield would love Jarrod Bowen. I think Liverpool fans would really, especially losing Andy Robertson, like, we need that pitbull type player, and I love Bowen's attitude. Seen you recently talking about the threats and you and your family. You're a sound lad. Please don't listen to any of these gobshites. 99% of us love you. And the content you put out, keep it up. Keep the health high. Thank you. So it wasn't the threat itself that worried me. It was the extent of it. So to give you just an insight to it, the last 2 shows I've done, live shows, there's been bomb threats. And it's that serious that the police are involved and there's an active case on it. And the venues had to have the police were alert in case anything happened. There was a direct line ready. And this is why I would say I really appreciated the strength of character of the venues. Because they said, Craig, what do you think? Do we do these shows or do you cancel them? And I said, I honestly don't have any fear of doing it, because I don't think these threats are real. But it was nasty, and it was prolonged, and it was disturbing, disturbing. And it was a tough time, but it is what it is. And we did the shows. They went fine. Nothing happened. But yeah, man, it was tough, because I'm fair game. If you don't like me, crack on. Say what you fucking want. Fine. But to threaten my autistic child, or to, speak about my family like that in the way they did, I didn't think I deserved it, quite frankly. So it was tough. It was tough, but it is what it is, I've been through worse. They're not going to break me. But what I would say is Merseyside police were incredible. And any of the police that we've had to deal with over it, I couldn't speak highly enough of the professionalism and how seriously they took everything and how much they chased it up. Because this was a concerted effort from a group. Mbappe or Haaland? Haaland. Every day of the week there. Definitely. Alex, appreciate you, my man. Thank you. Yes, I agree with this. We need a Gary Mack type player who's seen it and would rage against any standard slipping. Bowen could be that player for the younger players. Yes, exactly that. A great example, a great person to have in and around. And not, the likes of the youngsters we brought in, the Senegalese winger and a few of the other ones. Like, it still leaves that pathway there. You get 3 solid years minimum at a Bowen. Rio will be established at that point. So yeah, I'd love it. I don't know if there's any chance that it happens, but my God, I love it. Honest Watch Review said, remember when Klopp said that mentality was the most important factor he looked for in players? This is where we've gone wrong. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because I've certainly had my own concerns about this data-led approach. I mean, data's an important part of modern sport, and if you can gain any edge, cool, I'm all for it. But I don't think, and I don't expect that it is used solely to make these decisions, but there are some things that are intangible, that you can't measure, and that is the character of a person. And I think, and I've always said this, you really see the character of somebody when their back's against the wall. It's easy to get praised. It's easy to be told how great you are, and it's easy to be told that you're loved. But when the shit hits the fan, when everybody around is calling and shouting and screaming, you need people who hold their ground, people who have balls, and people who don't give up. You need your Mohamed Salahs. You need your Andy Robertsons. You need those type of human beings, or you're getting fucking nowhere. And I feel like in Slot's leadership, that's not really appreciated as much as it should be. Whereas with Jurgen, it was very clear. He knew the importance of that, of the character of the people. And to be fair to the lads who were doing the recruitment, maybe there isn't information there to these lads having difficult situations on the footballing pitch to deal with. But I think looking somebody in the eye and having a conversation can give you as much information maybe as what you can see on a piece of paper. Bone gives me Milner vibe. Yeah, I get it. I agree. Craig, I feel like I'm going insane watching these shithouse performances from Liverpool and seeing reports in the media about that fraud staying in the job. Makes no logical sense. I feel like they're undermining themselves though. You know, because I remember the fanfare when Hughes and Edwards came back in, and look, to be honest, I was excited about it as well. But the fanfare was that these guys don't use emotion to make their decisions. They make their decisions on the evidence that's in front of them. So using their own credentials, I don't think as a fan that you can make the argument to give Slot another season based on the information that's available, based on the numbers, based on the metrics, based on our performances, based on the fan base. I don't see how you make the decision to keep him outside of you think it's right. Now, which one is it? Do you make the decisions based off data and the evidence? Or are you so stubborn that you don't want to admit that maybe this hasn't worked out? And sometimes you're too close to a situation. And we talked about this as well. Sometimes you need to take a step back, or you need to get a set of different eyes on it. But we don't know because they don't tell us. They don't communicate with us. They don't make themselves available. They just sit away in the shadows. And I keep saying this over and over again. It's not healthy when people feel that they are free to just do what they want without being answerable to anybody. Like, they have the future of our football club in their hands, and they don't want to sit in front of the press and answer a question. I find that very disturbing as a fan, that you will go out of your way to brief all these people, but you'll do a round table, and in that round table they didn't take any questions. There wasn't a forum opened up where they said, send in your questions for Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards and Arne Slot, and we'll pick out the 10 most asked questions and we'll put them to them. No, it was just, come on lads, let's sit around the table, all jerk each other off and tell each other how great we are, while we're all getting paid millions to do it. Sure, aren't we a great bunch of lads? We know best. Trust us. It was embarrassing. And very befitting of the situation that we're in. A mess. Someone said, did you see the boxing last night? Oh, I was hoping somebody was going to bring up the boxing. Oh my days. What can you say? Firstly, congratulations, Daniel Dubois, on retaining or becoming a two-time world champion. But, lads, what the fuck is Fabio Wardley made of? Oh my days. Fabio Wardley's one of those lads, he'd be hitting with a baseball bat and he'd be still walking towards you, smiling. Like, it was almost a hard watch at the very end of that, like, because how was that man still standing? How did he not even take a knee? He's made of something different. Like, that ironclad will. Like, you heard me say a minute ago that when your back's against the wall, you see the making of somebody and what they're about. Well, you fucking seen it last night with Fabio Wardley. Oh my days. That's so mad. Norman said, because last year we won the Premier League. Yeah, that's last year, mate. That's last year. Did we win it this year? Did we come close to winning it this year? Did we come close to winning the cup this year? Did we not lose 18 games this year? Did we not look like an absolute mess this year? This year is this year, mate. Last year is last year. You don't win a Premier League title and sit in your hands forever. You know, football clubs that want to win, that's the starting point. Then you go back to back. And this season, as Liverpool fans, we've seen it go from that conversation in the media to Liverpool going to go back to back, Liverpool wanting to get the next title, to this is obviously a transition season. You know, and Arna and the lads felt like if they said it enough, the world would believe it. They've gone full Donald Trump. Just keep saying stupid shit over and over again and think that you say it enough that people start to take it as a fact. But the facts are that we were led to believe this was the start of Liverpool trying to be dominant. Not a rebuild, not a transitional season. That wasn't the case. But when the failure started, when the standards start slipping, then the excuses start coming out and the rewriting of history start happening. The ref should have stopped that fight earlier. I agree, Esther. I agree. It went a little bit too far. Like, for me, Esther, the point where Wardley got up off his stool to start the round and wobbled, even after a minute, I think that was just a sign that it was just sheer exhaustion at that point, and he'd just taken too much. But it was an incredible show of heart. Like, wow, what courage and what strength of will. Like, just incredible admiration for both of them. It was just phenomenal. Craig, in your opinion, who do you want to be the next manager of Liverpool? You hear about Romano saying he's heard that FSG will continue with Slot next season. I don't know if that's really what he said. Again, I'm not trying to call you out or anything, Charlie, but what I remember with Romano was he said that there hadn't been any direct contact as far as he was aware with Xabi Alonso, and that Liverpool are going to conduct a season review at the end of the season and go from there. That's what I remember anyway, Charlie. But I must put my cards on the table here, Charlie, though, and say to you, I despise that man. Romano, I've no time for him. I think I'm just not fond of him. Let's put it that way. I think he's shown us what he's about enough that I'm not a fan. Critical V27 said, Alonso will know exactly how to use Frimpong. Yeah, I keep saying this, but I don't know if it was an accident or whatever, but I think we're probably closer to being able to play Alonso's preferred system now than we would have been when Klopp left. So whether it was accidental or whether it, whatever, I do feel like outside of maybe being a centre-back extra short for his system, the wing-backs, I think we've got players tailor-made for that. You've got Wirtz, who, of course, we're going to need to get the best out of him. And, if you want to instill confidence back in Wirtz, I think the guy who helped them, who led him to an invincible season with Leverkusen, certainly going to be something that I'm sure Wirtz will be very happy about. Triton say congrats on 380k. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you, all of you. Hopefully on to 400 next. So look, if you are with us for the first time, there's a couple of things. And don't worry, by the way, we've got plenty of time left in tonight's stream. But if you are with us for the first time, just a couple of quick things I'd like to say if I can. Firstly, why not enter our giveaway? We do a giveaway every month in 2026 with thanks to our great friends at the Collector's Corner. They've given us loads of signed items to give away, from a signed Klopp shirt, to a signed Kenny shirt, to a signed Stevie G shirt, to a Charles Oliveira signed UFC glove. This month, they've given us your choice of any of these 3 framed and signed Robbie Fowler shirts, and they'll send it out to you completely free. We'll have a giveaway in June, July, August, all the way through, and that's with thanks to the Collector's Corner. If you want to enter the giveaway, scan the QR code on the screen. That will bring you into the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, where you will see our posts in there, of course, about transfers and stuff like that, but you'll also see how to enter the competition and what you need to do. On top of that, what else have we got? Where is it gone? This one. If you could subscribe to our Clips channel, I really would appreciate it. The Clips channel won't be the Clips channel for much longer, as we're going to repurpose it, and it's going to be called Anfield Agenda Extra moving forward into next season. We're going to have new content creators on there. We're going to put out more content. So if you haven't subscribed already, our dream is to get the second channel to 100,000. It's closing in on 60 at the minute. But if you can just search Anfield Agenda Clips or scan that QR code, that will bring you over. Right, let's get going. Triton said I would be ecstatic with a Charles Oliveira signed glove. It was actually the least entered giveaway we've done of the ones we've done so far. Yeah, we were a little bit surprised with it as well, because UFC is obviously so huge, and yeah, we thought that one was going to be a bit more popular than it was. But again, so grateful to our friends at the Collector's Corner. You know, I buy all of my memorabilia merchandise from them, and I've no regrets for anything I've ever bought. It's always top notch. Any news on Canade's contract, said Alan. Not really, Alan, no. Which is kind of, I don't know. I don't really know what to think about it anymore, mate, because, you know, it's been closed for a while now, according to reports. But what I wonder is, you know, is it making it harder and harder now for Canade to get a high deal when his performances of late haven't been great, and defensively we haven't looked solid all year? I'd love to be a fly in the wall for these conversations to see what way it's going or what he's looking for. Because I think Ibrahima Konate is a 180 to 200 grand a week defender, personally. But when you're in this situation now where you've got 2 weeks to go, his contract's up at the end of June, that's when the contracts expire. What do you do? What do you do? Like, who has the leverage in the conversation? Is Canade, does he have us over a barrel? Are we not fussed? I'd love to know which way it's going, but again, it's not something I want or I think that the club should be praised over, because to let these contract situations get this late repeatedly, it's just, I don't see how it isn't a disturbing influence. You know, we heard Mohamed Salah and Virgil say that the contract situations were in their own head last year when we won the league. So how are we not supposed to believe that it's been the same for Canade and others this year? Craig, my name is Monia. Can you please say hello to me, please? Of course. Thank you so much, Monia. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for being a member of our community, and thank you for your kind words. Apologies, I didn't see your comment sooner, but you're welcome in. Thank you for being here. Craig, would you rather us miss Champions League by losing to Villa to see slot leave for good? I can never bring myself to want Liverpool to lose a game of football. So no. But I don't, like, it shouldn't even be down, you know, it shouldn't even be a debate. If we get Champions League football, which I think we will, they should look at it, in my opinion, and think they got away with one. And they got a bit fortunate there. Because let's be honest, we probably don't deserve it based on this season. And the fact that everybody else has been mad inconsistent has kind of, made us feel a bit lucky here. Craig, if you kept yourself updated on the slot out petition, yes, I have. We were sharing it earlier on. It's pinned comment, I believe, as well. Right, look, a lot of people asking for some news stuff, so let me run through all of what I have here for you. So if you're coming in late or anything, you feel you've missed that, and let me just run through it here for you. It's going to take a few minutes, so please do bear with me. Right, so let's start with James Pearce. FSG will imminently face a similar big decision over the fate of Arne Slot. Everything up until now has pointed them to the standing by the Dutchman. There is sympathy from what he has had to contend with this season, from the loss of Diogo Jota last July to the succession of crushing injury setbacks. Unlike Rodgers, Slot is a Premier League title winner and should still salvage Champions League qualification from the wreckage of this campaign. But the mutinous mood inside Anfield on Saturday sent a clear message to the hierarchy about the scale of the unrest. It felt like this was the day when patience truly snapped. A Liverpool manager hadn't faced this level of dissent on home turf since the final throes of Roy Hodgson's tenure in late 2010. Now, before I move on to the next news topic, I'd like to just touch on something James Pearce said here. So he said that there's sympathy for what he's had to contend with, from the loss of Diogo Jota to the succession of crushing injury setbacks. So let me just stop at that for a sec. The Diogo Jota situation, of course, that's a mitigating factor. No problem. We think we all will admit that one. But the injury thing. Now, some injuries he's been unlucky with, like Isak getting the leg fracture. But Arne Slot coming in was lauded for being a preventer of injuries and for being able to keep people fitter for longer. And what we've seen this season, whether it's a coincidence or not, is a player like Jeremy Frimpong come in with a very, very good injury record to all of a sudden having multiple muscle injuries. And we've seen this debated by sports scientists all around the world as to our methods this year, and there being concerns about them. So I don't think the injuries should be enough to make people feel sorry for Slot, because he's part of the reason for some of them. Or at least he has an influence over the potential of those injuries. So I don't think that goes in the mitigating pile, personally, other than the fractures and stuff like that. But also, shit happens. That happens. Happens every season. He's supposed to be the guy who was able to stop the burnout, able to keep the guys fitter for longer. And what we've seen is his methods have led to us looking flat. So I would argue back on that one. L'Équipe have said that Liverpool are interested in Monaco's versatile attacker Magnus Akliouche as part of their summer rebuild plans. Monaco would reportedly want around €50 million. L'Équipe also said Liverpool are keeping a close eye on Monaco midfielder Lamine Camara. The Senegalese international is valued at about €30 million, according to this piece here, and LFC Transfer Room credit them for the post. They said Monaco would look to double the €15 million they paid Metz for him in 2024. Then we moved on to Tutto Juve, that said Liverpool are preparing for a major goalkeeping shake-up this summer. Juventus are reportedly pushing to sign Alisson, with the Serie A giants ready to offer around €10 million for the Brazilian shot stopper. The Reds are already drawing up a short list of replacements, including Lucas Chevalier and Emiliano Martinez. Now, we spoke about this the other day. Petrovic's name was also on a list. Verbruggen's name was on a list. Then we had Peter Crouch saying, there is a bit of slight unrest with the manager at the moment. I think the fans are very knowledgeable in the stadium, and I think they know is the direction they want to go. Look, it's a bit more, Peter, than a slight bit of discontent. I understand Crouch is trying to be a bit of a statesman there, and I love Peter Crouch, but I think it's a little bit more than a slight bit of discontent. Alex Bernard, I think of Le D Sport, I think, said Liverpool have been tracking Bradley Barcola for many months and they're now stepping up their efforts to sign him. The player is becoming increasingly tempted by the move. Liverpool are more determined than ever to complete a deal. PSG are open to discussion should the player indicate he wants to leave. Then we have J. Felix Diaz, who reported that Liverpool have directly called Real Madrid to ask about Xabi Alonso. The English club wanted to know about Alonso's work at Real Madrid and what Madrid's opinion about him is. Then Dario AS said similar thing. Liverpool have contacted Real Madrid to ask about Alonso. Alex Crook said Juventus are advancing in talks to sign Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson. Another piece then from himself and Ben Jacobs said Liverpool are in talks with Alisson. Juventus are in talks with Alisson, and the Liverpool goalkeeper is open to the move. However, the Brazilian will only leave if it suits all parties, with no pressure being applied on Liverpool. The Reds still have huge faith in Georgi Mamardashvili as the long-term number one, with the Georgian expected to depart if Alisson departs. So here's where I'm at with this one. I think the line, the Brazilian will only leave if it suits all parties, that's basically a kind way of saying he wants to move. Because if you don't want to move, you say you don't want to move. You want to finish out your contract with Liverpool. If you're open to it, you're open to it. So I think that one's going to be interesting to see what happens. This piece here in the Daily Mail, and this article comes from the Echo, said Liverpool have been linked with Xabi Alonso today, with the former Liverpool man reportedly emerging as a candidate to take over from Arne Slot should the club choose to make a change in the dugout. But the former Real Madrid man has also been linked with Chelsea. The Blues are on the search for a new permanent manager, and according to the Daily Mail, Alonso is an early preferred choice at Stamford Bridge, but there is a suggestion that Chelsea could find it hard to convince the manager to choose them over Liverpool. Look, it would be impossible to convince him to choose Chelsea over Liverpool if it was an option. But I'm wondering, and I have to say wondering because I don't know it to be a fact, I'm wondering if the dweebs, the Calculator Kid and Richard Hughes, I'm wondering if they're concerned about Alonso having too much influence, and that's maybe why we're not really seeing them push forward, that they don't want another Jurgen Klopp type figure who fans idolise. This here from the D Sport said Bradley Barcola is increasingly receptive to signing for the Reds. They're said to be more insistent than ever to sign him from PSG, and the outlet claim that they're not ruling out a deal if Barcola does want out. Interesting one here from Football Insider about Mickey van de Ven. They say Mickey van de Ven is a leading target for Liverpool as a replacement for Virgil van Dijk. The club are said to be assessing long-term options for when the captain ends his Liverpool career, and Van de Ven could reportedly leave Spurs even if they avoid relegation. Then we move on to Bence, talking about a young goalkeeper that Bence really likes, and Bence Bochak said this: Robin Risser is the best young goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. No under-21 goalkeeper has prevented more goals than him with 5.4. He has the best save percentage at 77.63 in Ligue 1. He's so quick off his line, great reaction, commands his box really well, decent on the ball, really impressed by him. I think his ceiling is very high. Then we had L'Equipe say the Reds are interested in Magnus Akliouche more than Spurs, according to L'Equipe. They said that they'd want around £40 million for the player, and the Paris Saint-Germain are also interested. Then we had Ali McCoist and Jeff Stelling on TalkSport talking about the Liverpool managerial situation. No, excuse me, they're not. They're talking about Alisson departing, my apologies. And McCoist said this on the idea of Alisson leaving. No is the answer to that. I don't think so. Particularly in that area, he might just be a key player in the whole squad. And then Jeff Stelling replied, I think it's really important to hold on to him. Look, they've lost significant big-name players last season and will do so again during the course of this summer. Surely they want to hold on to the man who's still deservedly their number one. So that's pretty much where we're at with the news that I have, folks. Anyway, Stephen, how are you, Stephen? Said, I could be wrong, but I think FSG should clean out the management house. None of these people seem to give a damn about Liverpool. I agree, Stephen. I think that the three amigos all need to go, because We're going to be looking for a sporting director anyway, because apparently Hughes doesn't want to stay. And I don't even understand how FSG bought into that. You know, I think it was the Telegraph that I read a piece in a few weeks ago that said that Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards made it clear that they were only coming in for a 3-year cycle. Why? Maybe I can understand it with Edwards, but with Richard Hughes, I said this before, we've got a man here who's done so well at Bournemouth that it earned him the step up to Liverpool. And he's arrived to the most decorated club in English football and doesn't want to be here for more than 3 years. I don't understand that. Like, just even on a career trajectory, I don't understand it. Why wouldn't you want to take your skill set, go to Liverpool and build your era? Build 2 or 3 teams and be that guy that brought sustained success after Jurgen's success to the club. I don't understand that. And I don't understand as owners how they'd be okay with that. And I really don't understand now, to kind of extend on what Stephen's saying, how these guys who are making these decisions that are going to impact us and maybe set us back a few years are being allowed carte blanche to just do this, and they don't give a fuck because they're not going to be here. I find the whole thing really mental. I don't understand from just a professional standpoint how Hughes didn't want to be here for 10 years. Like, think about it. Bournemouth to Liverpool. Huge step up. Huge vote of confidence. You get to come in and then you get to spend £450 million and be involved in some of the biggest deals, in fact, the biggest deals in Liverpool history. And you don't want to stick around? That's mental. I've struggled with that for a while. Like, I don't understand it. Is there something that you knew was going to be a problem coming in? Owners difficult to work with? Restrictions on what you can do? I don't understand, but it feels weird. Slot could never inspire a 3-0 comeback against Barca. Not even a chance, Emmanuel. Not a hope. Not a hope. You're right. Because, like we said before, that was made possible because of the strength of will and the belief that Jurgen had instilled in those players. Like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think it was on the Peter Crouch podcast or a podcast this year, said that they were going out on the pitch for Liverpool under Jurgen and they felt like they could do anything, beat anybody, outrun anybody. Then they turn around and they see the manager celebrating tackles and interceptions on the sideline like they were goals. And the players fed off that. And it feels like if Hughes and Edwards knew anything about our club, it's that we are emotionally driven people. Anfield is an emotional place. We react to those big moments, to Robbo's crunching tackles, to him chasing Messi around the pitch, to Simeone being an asshole on the sideline, to Newcastle time wasting and then it biting them in the arse when we score a late goal and they're moaning about the added on. These are the things that get Liverpool fans involved. And when you look on the pitch and you see players who, even if they aren't the most talented footballers in the world, but they are busting a gut for that shirt and for the fans that are in there, that's magic. And what we see now is just so far removed from that it feels strange. Can we play PSG again just to give Slot a massive slap? Yeah, it's weird. Like, and to hear him stand there and say that we were an overturned penalty decision away from maybe beating them. Like, firstly, it was the right decision to overturn the penalty. I think we'll all admit that. But even at that, we were so far away from being even really competitive over those 2 games. The second half, which everybody wants to give him credit for, was the half we lost 2-0. You know? It's just, I don't get it. What would you be thinking if you were Jeremy Jacquet? Firstly, I'd be thinking I'm going straight in here to be a starting centre back. That's first and foremost what I'd be thinking. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what an impact Slot being in or out is going to have. But I do know this. Any player that Liverpool are going for this summer, they won't be deaf to the, the boos. They'll know that Liverpool fans and the whole situation right now is a bit of a mess. And are you going to come in to play for a manager that the fans don't want? And you're going to walk into a tricky situation? I don't know, but it certainly doesn't help your cause. Least favourite Liverpool player ever, El Hadj Diouf. Easy. El Hadj Diouf by a country mile. Chad, how are we, dude? Lovely to see you, my man. Hope you're well. The boo said it all yesterday. I hate seeing that, but it needed to happen. Yeah, I agree. It's heartbreaking, Chad, to see it happen and to see it have to happen. But like I said earlier on, when you've got them gaslighting their own fan base by, it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what your opinions are, we're sticking with them because, well, we don't even know what the because is. Because we believe in them. But yeah, they're supposed to be the data-led boys. And they can't show us data to show he's been unlucky or to show that it'll be different. All we have is, trust me. That's it. Do you think if we sign both BARCOLA and Diamande, or only one of them, if it's one of them, who do you prefer or who do you think is more likely? I want to sign both because we need two attackers and both are class players. Well, I'm definitely in the camp of I'd love both of them. And honestly, dude, I go back and forth on it because with Bradley BARCOLA, you've got a player who has more experience and probably has played at a higher standard. And I don't mean, when I say a higher standard, I mean level, not individual performances. But does have some flaws. Finishing being something that he could brush up on. But still really young at 22. And then you've got Yan Diamande, who was a season of unbelievable performances in the Bundesliga. He's 19 and maybe not developed enough for Liverpool yet to think that because, like, let's say he went to PSG, Yan Diamande, just as an example. PSG have enough wingers, or Bayern Munich, that they could slowly bring him in and ease him in over the course of a season or two, mixing him in with Elise or Gnabry or any of their other wingers. PSG, Kvaratskhelia, Doué, etc. But at us, whoever comes in is having to go straight in to be the guy. Is having to go straight in to make a difference quickly. So I would guess that the club may be more inclined to look at BARCOLA. But I'm saying this and I am guessing. But I won't be disappointed with either one. Either one would be good for me. Throw in a little Jared Bowen there as well and we'll be good to go. I hate that term, trust me, bro, because this spoofer and players can't be trusted. The reason I bring it up, Jacob, is because I can't think of any other way to undermine what he's saying because it's not based off any evidence. Like, we're supposed to be led by the evidence, people. And Slot said that he is 100% sure it'll be different next season because the problems are so clear. They know what they are. Well, if they're so clear and you know what they are, how have you not been able to stem the flow this year? And if they're so clear now, how were they not clear last summer? Why did you not bring in a centre-back as the season went on? And why sign one for next season? Did you write this season off? There's so many things like that that I don't accept. I don't accept the partying at the end of last season when the league was won. If there's still games to play, I thought that was Tim Pot. I don't like Slot fucking off on holidays in international breaks. International breaks aren't holiday time. You should be going and watching your players. You should be on the training ground working with some of the younger players. But he seems to think it's, woohoo, I'm off to Dubai or back over to the Netherlands. Like, imagine thinking, I'll fuck off to Dubai now after we've lost 3 games in a row. Then comes back and gets beaten by United. And then people are like, oh yeah, but like, he needs a break. Fuck you, needs a break. He spent the whole summer partying. So he needs a break from what, being shit? What he should be doing is sitting down and leaving no stone unturned, trying to find every which way possible to turn this around. But it seems like he can just go away and switch off. And I don't agree with that. Bowen has quality, but he's not a starter for us. If he is, we're in trouble. I strongly disagree, Ricky. Yeah, I strongly disagree, mate. I think what you'd get there is a player who, with better players around him, would kick on another level, I'd say. Now, look, we do need pace. And we do need to bring in a BARCOLA or a Diamande or somebody else. So that, I have to underline. But when we don't have a striker outside of Isak for the first half of next season, and we don't really know yet how fit or good Isak's going to be, I think you need to have somebody that can be utilised in that position if needs be. And look, Gakpo ain't it. He's tried. He's given it a go. And fair play to him for doing what the manager's asked. But it's not working. And we won't sign another striker because that will be a long-term solution to a short-term problem. So I think we have to look to find ways to get some short-term solutions, but still for it to make sense over the next 2 or 3 years. Wolves winger Mane, he's not ready, Carl. He's just not ready, dude. He's 18, playing with Wolves. And honestly, I love him, but I've said this a few times this year, so I'll say it again. I think he's best served by staying at Wolves for another year, even in the Championship, and getting a bit more experience. Because when you've got talent like him, the moves are going to be there. People are going to be keeping tabs on him. I just don't think I don't think an 18-year-old is what we should be bringing in when we already have Rio, who's going to be our young player. And then you've got, let's say, Nioni. I want to see Nioni get more minutes next season. I'm intrigued to see how Will Wright gets on. What's going to happen with Jayden Danns? These are things. And then, of course, we've got players out on loan and that as well. But, yeah, so give some of the youngsters a chance. And then supplement it with a bit of proven talent as well. But I feel like, I don't know this again, but certainly it's been written about that it was Slot that wanted BARCOLA and Hughes wanted him to use Rio. Again, not saying it's a fact, but I'm saying it was written about. And if that's the case, that's a disturbing fact, because Slot wants a ready-made player and seemingly isn't willing to make him better. Darren, bonus class. He's a class act, and West Ham are a class club. I've a lot of time for West Ham. There you go. Speaking of, Tom, how are you? West Ham here, Craig. Just want to say, love the channel, your humour and the honesty. No idea why you get any hate. Keep your head high. So this is what I at least tell myself, Tom, to try to make myself feel a bit better. I've seen clips of people before and made a judgment on them, thinking I know from that clip. So I've always been understanding of anybody who sees clips of me in a very particular moment or a heated moment, and they think that I'm a loudmouth, toxic arsehole. I understand that, but what I've found over the years, Tom, is that people like your good self, mate, that come in and watch, don't just see a clip, but come in and watch, find out very quickly that is a part of who I am, but I'm also a down-to-earth, kind-hearted, caring fella who loves to chat with people and learn and talk about football and have a bit of fun along the way. So, I do always ask myself, why do I get that much hate? Because I think I'm a good man. I try to give back to my local community, sponsor local teams, help local emerging fighters, help out people in my community, give money to food banks in Liverpool, buy Christmas presents for people who have struggled. Like, we do so many kind things that we don't want to an attaboy for. But I feel very hurt that our own football club has shunned us and not embraced us, because I think we'd be more of an asset than a liability to them. And, you know, we've reached out to Liverpool before to ask about our place, and we've been blanked over and over again. And that's okay, but I'd be a liar if I said that it doesn't hurt. Because the one thing that you love doesn't want to love you back. And not only doesn't want to love you back, but has actively worked against you. And I keep asking myself, Tom, why? Like, what have I done that's so incredulous to Liverpool Football Club? I've tried to have the ethos of bringing people together, showing love and kindness. And yes, I'm outspoken, but it's sincere and it's my honest beliefs. I swear a little bit, but I'm not filling people's heads full of misogynistic hate or racist bullshit. I'm a decent man. And it kills me that the club refuse to acknowledge our existence, and they'll acknowledge everybody else, and they'll bring people to Anfield and let them play charity games on the pitch. And, you know, we asked the football club, could we buy 2 tickets to Jurgen's farewell at the Echo? Not have them. Just, can we buy 2 tickets because we'd love to attend, to be in the room, to say goodbye to a man that's meant so much to us. And we didn't even get a fucking reply. And when I say we sent an email, mate, we sent a very long, sincere, from the heart email, and we just get blanked. You know, I'm the most watched Liverpool fan channel on the planet, and we don't get acknowledged by our own football club in the same way that others have. And by others, I don't just mean Redmen and the Anfield Rap. I mean others that are much smaller than us, have gotten tie-ins with Adidas, hospitality tickets, opportunity. All I want is just not to be worked against because I'm outspoken. All I want is a fair shake, because I think fan channels, I think clubs should embrace them a lot more rather than fear them, because ultimately these people are invested in the football club and love it. And I don't understand why they don't move with the times and at least acknowledge our existence. And it hurts. It hurts me when I go to America and I've got supporters clubs that we're meeting up with emailing me to say the club have reached out asking what their business was with us. Now, at this point, we were a channel that must have had 40,000 subscribers back then. And I've been told by people that they've been asked why they've done videos with us, why they've worked with us. I've been told before we're not serious people. And that fucking hurts. That hurts because it's not true. It's not true, and you've never spoken with me. You've never sat down and had a conversation with me. The only interaction I've ever had with somebody directly from Liverpool was when I went over to the United game this season, and I was in the 8th lounge, or the 7th lounge, I can't remember which one it was. And we were in there, and I was leaving on the way out, and there was a gentleman in a suit that was obviously one of the managers on that day, and spotted me and said, "Don't be too angry when you make your video about today." And I said, "Well, I will be angry, but I tell you what I'll also do. I'll be telling everybody how amazing the staff were in here today and how well everybody was treated and what a great occasion it was, even though the result wasn't right." And he smiled at me and said, "Good man." And I left. But that's it. I will say what I think needs to be said on the harsh stuff, but I'll also praise what needs to be praised and try to bring people together. So I'd be a liar if I said to you that that hasn't broken my heart, that they've shunned us, but I can't really do anything about it either. Liam said, in a brief, how do you think our window ends as incoming and outgoing and positions? The players I definitely want are BARCOLA, Diamande, Wharton. From there, I've no idea what's going to happen. I think McAllister will be sold. I think Endo will be sold. I think it's trending towards Jones going, but that may change if a new manager comes in. Chiesa will be sold. Don't know what happens with Alisson. I think that's on a knife edge at the minute. Incomings, I think Wharton certainly seems to be more than credible based off all the reports and things that you see and read. maybe then somebody like the Lons, number 6, or Kamara from Monaco to be the proper out and out. Because I don't think Wharton's been looked at as a 6. I think he's been looked at as maybe a refresh in the Maka area. And then somebody like Sangar or somebody like that might be the 6. I'm very frustrated with the Costa situation because I don't see how bringing back a player we've already semi-moved on, but at the very least admitted wasn't in the top 3 we had. I don't see how losing Andy Robertson and bringing back Costas strengthens us. I don't think it does. And it also means that Costas, unless he gets a new deal, will go for free in a year. So I'd rather we sell Costas, who couldn't get a breakthrough at Roma, and bring in somebody else. On the right side, they have a tough decision to make. You know, what do we do with the right back situation? Can you wait for Bradley? Do you trust Bradley's body will be able to live up to the rigours of it? What happens with Gomez? You know, our right back situation this season has been a very, very strange situation because everyone knew, including Slot, because he spoke about it, that Bradley is susceptible to injuries. So why then do we ignore Frimpong at right back? Unless you've admitted he's not a good enough right back, in which case why do we sign him? Because he ain't a good enough right winger either. So I don't know the answer there, what happens at right back. Centre back, we've got Giovanni coming back. We've got Jeremy Jacquet coming in. I think in a year's time, I could see somebody like Schlotterbeck maybe looked at as the long-term Virgil successor. What happens with Canade is, I don't know. I think maybe stays, but it has to be for the right number. And I don't see Canade as a leader. I just don't. I see him as a good defender, but I don't see him as being captain material or being a leader of that back line. Personally, it's just my opinion. And then obviously Rio getting more game time on the left. I'd like to see Bowen, and I'd like to see somebody like Diamande or BARCOLA. Something like that, and I think I'd be happy enough. I want to say love you, mate. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Really do. Thank you. All the way from Canada. I'll be over in your beautiful country in September, October, and I can't wait. Jay Francis, I really can't. I'm so excited to get over. We're going to spend 5 days in downtown Toronto. Then we've got a couple of 3 nights with Sabrina's relatives. And then we've got 3 nights in Toronto or in Niagara before we head home. And I'm so excited about it. I've got so much fun stuff to do with my son and booked, and I can't wait. Jacko said, in terms of Liverpool, your viewpoints are tough but fair. I think that sounds about right to me. And again, I don't always think I'm right, Jacko. I'm open to be corrected on stuff, but all I can ever say to you, dude, is my opinions are my honest opinions. They're not done for effect, impact. They are how I feel. And I can't fake anything. I am who I am. I am what I am. You know, you can tell by looking at me what mood I'm in. You know, I'm not good enough actor to fake anything. So all these things that you see on camera are how I am if I'm watching it on the sofa with my wife. That's the way football just does that to me. Football's been my life since I was 7. I'm obsessive about it, and I'm obsessive about Liverpool because it's been my sanctuary. It's been my thing that's got me through my tough points in life when I've had nothing else to feel optimistic about. I've always looked at Steven Gerrard or Robbie Fowler and these lads and thought, we're on this journey with them, and it's possible. And Istanbul came at a particularly poignant time in my life as well, where that really gave me belief. So to me, Liverpool is a magical, mystical, breathing, living thing. And as an Irishman, I feel very connected to the city of Liverpool because of it being the first port where people, you know, left Ireland in search of work and rocked up in Liverpool and, you know, made themselves part of that community. And I love everything the city stands for. I love the courage of its people. I love its dry sense of humour. I love how supportive of each other they are. I love how proud of the city they are. I love how they don't take any shit and stand up for themselves. I love it. I love all of it. And I'll only ever defend it and stand up for it and want to be accepted by the place because it's a beautiful fucking place. And when I was over there last year and we were doing one of our live shows and we were driving to the venue, and everywhere you looked, it was the day of the parade. Everywhere you looked, excuse me, it was the day before the parade, my apologies. Everywhere you looked, you just seen reds around the city. Every corner you went to, there was people walking with flags and they were all going to their mates or they were going somewhere to watch the last game, and it was fucking magic. It's just, if I could, bottle that, I'd never be interested in drugs again. It was incredible. And like I said before, last August on this channel, oh wow, I wished August never end. We were all so optimistic, so excited, so happy, so obviously still hurting with the Ogo situation, but the future looked bright. Our club had broken the British transfer record twice. It really, to get from that to this, it's been a mad year and a mad journey and a mad emotional roller coaster. Thank you, Embrace Gaming. Appreciate you. Thank you. Love your honesty and the inside scoop. Appreciate you. Thank you. Right, ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodnight. We asked you to vote for which one of these managers you'd most like. And the winner with 80% of the vote is Xabi Alonso. Second was Julian Nagelsmann. Third was Andoni Iraola. And then Sebastian Hoeneß was the last one. So look, ladies and gents, tomorrow we'll see you again. We'll be here for the late night agenda. Connor will be here in the morning with a news video as well. Appreciate you. Thank you to our sponsor, Surfshark. And if you can, before you head off, do hit that subscribe button for me. And if you can drop a like, that would mean a lot as well. Thank you for your time this evening. Appreciate you.